The story begins with Doug Woods, a wildlife photographer and host of the survival show Woods Versus. In it, he travels to remote areas, teaching how to endure in the wild. One night, Doug quietly leaves home, not wanting to wake his wife and daughter, but they hear him. His daughter gives him a heartfelt video message meant to keep him strong. Soon after, his team arrives in a trailer. It includes his younger brother Terry, producer Bill, and a woman named Angie. The ride is a few hours. On the way, the team talks. Tension is high. They urge Doug to raise the stakes, take risks, or the show dies. To distract himself, he plays chess with Terry, his lifelong comfort. They stop in a small town to meet their local guide, Duncan, who knows the dangerous terrain. At a diner, Terry quietly advises Doug to stop joking on camera. It hurts the show. The comment hits deep. After eating, they head out. Doug is dropped deep into the forest by boat, where he'll survive alone for 5 days until they return. They hand him a satellite phone for emergencies. Before leaving, the team urges him again, make it bold, make it work. The pressure is high. Doug's team doesn't sugarcoat it. If this season fails, they're all done. The honesty stings, but Doug hides it. Showing weakness now isn't an option. As they continue, rain begins to fall. Duncan, unfazed, tells Doug this is just a preview of what's to come. Nature doesn't play fair. They reach the forest's edge. With a few final words, Duncan leaves. Doug is alone. The real test begins. He sets up his camera. This is officially the start of Woods vs. Season 3. He opens his backpack. A hat, camera flash, energy drink, apple, harmonica, and chewing gum. That's all he has to survive the next 5 days. First step, find shelter. Doug climbs to higher ground, a safer spot. Time is short. Sunset is near. He gathers wood from a fallen tree, picking soft branches for easier handling. But while working, a splinter drives deep under his nail. Gritting his teeth, he pulls it out. A painful reminder that even small things can be a real threat out here. Eventually, he finishes building the shelter. Next, fire. He scrapes the energy drink can, trying to spark something. After 30 frustrating minutes, he changes approach. Using the reflective side of the can, he focuses sunlight on a dry pile of kindling. After some tense seconds, it lights. His first win in the wild, night falls fast. Doug tries to call his team with the satellite phone. They're laughing, joking, totally relaxed. Meanwhile, he's cold, alone, and starving. He didn't get a chance to hunt, no food. He goes to bed with an empty stomach, warmed only by the fire. But in the middle of the night, a loud, thunderous explosion shakes him awake. The sound is massive. He can't place it. Maybe an earthquake? He calms himself and goes back to sleep. By morning, something feels wrong. Smoke rises through the trees. Then, something huge crashes from the sky into the nearby river, shaking the ground. Doug runs to the scene. The water is filled with dead fish. Whatever hit, it's toxic. Could be a meteor. Still, from a survival point of view, this is a break. Food. Hungry, he feels a moment of relief. But just as he moves in, he sees a wolf watching from a distance. The wolf approached the river, sniffed the air, then turned and walked off. Didn't touch a single fish. That made Doug pause. The animal clearly sensed something he didn't. If the wolf didn't trust the fish, maybe he shouldn't either. Worried, Doug reached for the satellite phone to report it. But the signal was gone. No bars, no connection. That's when it clicked. Whatever crashed from the sky must have knocked out communications. Now, with no contact and nothing safe to eat, Doug had only one choice: hunt. Still starving from the night before, he set up 3 traps, hoping to catch rabbits or anything small. While waiting, he kept filming, documenting every strange turn. Before sunset, he checked the traps. 2 had caught rabbits. Relieved, he bent down to collect them, when a nearby camera suddenly toppled over on its own. Then came a sound, strange, unfamiliar, echoing through the woods. Doug froze. Maybe it was the wolf again? He grabbed the camera and headed back, alert and tense. To avoid predators, he decided to clean the rabbits away from camp. He checked his personal phone. Feeling isolated and low, Doug played her video. For a moment, he felt okay. But then, the sound came again. That same eerie noise. He quickly ate one rabbit. The second one, he hung from a tree branch, sharing a survival tip on camera: tie it high to keep it from animals. Night fell. Doug sat inside the shelter playing chess alone on his tiny board. But the noises returned. He looked around. Nothing. The darkness was thick. Unseen, something crept through the trees. It took the rabbit. Quiet. Clean. Not like an animal. More like a predator that knew what it was doing. The fear crept in deeper. Rain began to fall. Doug kept filming, pretending the shelter held. But it didn't. Water poured through, soaking everything. The ground turned to cold mud. Then, a scream. But unnatural. It echoed through the trees and froze Doug where he sat. He grabbed his night vision camera, scanned the forest. Nothing. He stayed up all night, wide-eyed. By morning, his whole body ached. Exhaustion set in. He wanted to quit, but he didn't. He kept the show going. Grabbing the camera, he checked the rabbit he saved for breakfast. But it was gone. Not torn apart, not dragged. Just missing. Doug panicked. No wild animal did this so precisely. He grabbed the satellite phone again. Still dead. Trying to hold it together, Doug reset his traps and waited. But when he checked them later, he was stunned. Emptied again, and not by animals. Under one trap was a strange black substance, faintly glimmering. He leaned in to examine it, but then something even worse caught his eye. His satellite phone was gone. Back at camp, he froze. Someone had moved a chess piece on his board. Not random, deliberate, calculated. That was it. He knew now he wasn't alone. Someone was out there, watching him, playing with him, maybe a fan, a prank, or a crew member trying to spice up the show. That idea gave him a moment of relief. He lit a fire, turned the camera back on, and kept filming. The show had to go on. That night, he sat with the board and carefully planned his next move. For the first time in days, he managed to sleep. In the morning, Doug packed his gear and left the area. He needed a new location. Deeper in the forest, he found a large rock and built a fresh shelter. He lit another fire, then went looking for food. He tried fishing, but the water was lifeless. So he searched for small game. Then he stopped cold. Right in front of him, another shelter. Identical to his. Same setup, same fire, even the same energy drink can, just like he used on camera. Someone was copying him, step by step. At first, he still hoped it was some twisted prank, but then he saw it. His missing satellite phone, taken apart, as if someone had been studying it. The fear hit hard. Nearby, he found the bodies of a rabbit and a wolf, tied up exactly as he'd shown on his show. Whoever this was, they weren't just watching. They were imitating. A noise cracked through the trees. Doug dove under a rock. While hiding, he noticed something else. Someone had built a massive trap. His own design, copied perfectly. If he hadn't moved, he would have stepped right into it. Shaking, he ran back to camp. Another move had been made on the chessboard. It was brilliant. Too clever for him to counter. With nowhere else to run, he stayed put. That night, he set up 3 cameras around the site, hoping to catch whoever was out there. By morning, every camera had been knocked over. That's when fear turned into something worse. Doug wasn't just being watched, he was being hunted. Whatever was out there, it hadn't struck yet, but it was tracking him. Every step, every move. Doug grabbed his camera to film what might be his final footage. Suddenly, a deafening explosion. A shockwave slammed into him, launching his body into the water. He clawed his way back to shore, blood dripping from his nose, ears, and eyes. Drenched and shaken, he wrung out his clothes and ran, anywhere but there. Disoriented, panicked, he stumbled. and fell into a deep hole. Just before blacking out, he looked up. Something dark was watching him from the edge. When he came to, weak and bleeding, he tied his wounded hand with his shirt and climbed out, one agonizing push at a time. Eventually, Doug reached the place where his team had set up base camp. The camp was still there, tents, gear, everything in place, but no people. Then Doug saw him, Terry, his brother, hanging from a tree, tied up exactly like the prey Doug had hung days earlier. He rushed over. Terry was alive, but barely, gasping, unable to speak. Doug sprinted to the tent for the radio, hoping for help. But when he returned with the first aid kit, Terry was gone. Doug stepped outside and froze. There it was, a creature, not human, standing in front of him. The alien made that same haunting noise he'd heard in the woods. Doug ran. He had one plan, lead it to the same hole he'd fallen into. And it worked. The creature plunged in. Doug shoved heavy rocks down until the trap was sealed. Then he ran back to help Terry. But it was too late. Doug gently covered what was left of his team. Knowing he might not make it out, he recorded one last message for his family. A goodbye, just in case. Then, one more time, he watched his daughter's video. Her words lit a spark in him. He wasn't done yet. After wrapping his wounds, he searched the camp and found a map. Duncan's cabin was 6 kilometers away. No time to waste. Doug pulled himself together and started walking. By nightfall, he reached the house, but the TV was still on. He turned to the news, and what he saw hit harder than anything so far. Millions of similar aliens had landed, cities destroyed, governments calling for mass evacuation. Doug, miles from civilization, was safe. For now. But his family, they might not have been. Still, he didn't stop. He gathered supplies, prepared Duncan's boat, ready to go find them, protect them. But just as he was about to leave, Duncan appeared, gun in hand, demanding Doug back off. Doug refused. He couldn't stop now. Before Duncan could act, the alien returned. It tore through Duncan in seconds, then turned to Doug. But Doug fought back, brutal, desperate. He dragged the creature into the water and slammed it into the boat's propellers. The blade shredded it to pieces. Gasping, soaked in blood and water, Doug looked up and froze. The sky was full of meteors. More were coming.